Oh, good gracious, great. Well, just checking because I can't hear anybody. Is anybody out there? It says people are out there.
Good morning. How you guys doing out there?
Good morning.
Did you get lots of rain out there on the east side?
Oh, God, that's weird. Oh, I'm on there. Okay.
Yeah. I know it was a very pleasant rain. It was great to see in the Clarkston area. And it just kept coming, but it was nice. Very nice. Let's see, I'm close enough, but we're just going to say, you guys know the regular routine, so welcome back. And here's that great question. Tell me or give me, would you please share something of good news over the last 2 weeks? Who's going to go first? Anyone? Not good news if nobody's got 0 on the good news.
All right, come here, Jules.
Hey, share with us, Laura. What do you got that's good news? Anything?
I've been able to talk to more neighbors. I've been doing more walks around my neighborhood and approaching people who are outside in their yards. So doing better with that.
Awesome.
Talking to more people.
Just, you know, because I know Laura's here in the Rochester office, and just that aspect of growth and realization. And so, guys, a message that we can share because of what Laura's going through. She's been here for just 2 years and has a very limited sphere of influence here on a local basis. What's her only option? She's got to talk to all the people she doesn't know. She's got to grow a sphere of influence. So that's something that she's been able to find out. Who else has got some good news for the week?
I do. Hi.
Hey, hi, how are you?
Good.
Awesome.
So we have a new agent in our office. This is Sharon Torello. Hi. She passed her test last week, I believe, 2 weeks ago. And so she is now starting her speed board and all of that to get started.
Awesome, excellent. Have you got any signed contract yet?
Not yet. We got a potential listing though, so hey.
Awesome. Hey, not yet is a good answer. So who else has got some good news for us here? What's the positive over the last 2 weeks? Go, Phil. Yeah. Phil, your microphone's not working. Nope, not there. Believe me, I've been through this before. I'll move on. You keep working on it. We'll come back to it. So, hey, managers or other mentors, good news. If you've heard some of it, let's share that. I was a little curious, by the way, as to how well our attendance would be, because I didn't send a reminder out until about 20 minutes ago. So, yeah, Kenyana, did you have something?
I turned one of my rental clients. She was looking for a rental, and now she got approved for to buy. So we're looking for homes for her to buy, purchase instead of renting now.
Excellent. So that's a great place, a great message, because when I'm having to go look for business, which is on a daily basis because every day we're unemployed, what's a great place for me to go look? People who are renting. Many of them, if they had the right circumstances, if they had the right knowledge, they would be able to purchase a new home and probably do it for less than what they are paying in rent. So a good question is, why are you renting instead of owning a home? Find out circumstance. Maybe you can get them into an actual home purchase. So that's a good thing right there. Any other good news? So let's do this. Let's turn to, here's something I need help with. The I need help with, share what that would be. Now, this scares me if you guys are silent, because if you don't need help, then that means your mentors and you are doing a fantastic job. Right? Or the problem would be that we're not talking to people. Therefore, we have no problems, which means we have no business, which is the reason I have no problems. So I'm going to use one if you guys don't give me anything, and we'll just do some random coaching. And I would rather handle the stuff that you guys are running into that's keeping you away from doing business.
I'm adjusting to the new job, who changed my hours to 1:30 in the afternoon to 10. So I'm adjusting to that again. And
Yep.
I'm cleaning up some problems out of my personal life, so I am able to focus more on what I want to focus on.
That's
But
excellent.
it has left me unfocused on real estate in the last week or so. So I neither have problem nor good at the moment.
So Andre, I think you put a stop sign up if I got to do a stop. I don't want to get overly personal, but I think Andre's got a situation that if you're newer to us, Andre ran into the situation that many people do. Start out full-time, things don't happen quick enough for lots of different reasons. And then all of a sudden, if you will, I've got to go back out and get a job that actually pays me when I put time in. And that, if you will, I'll even take it that I have to be there at a certain day, at a certain time, do certain things to a certain standard until they say I can go home, and I do that so that I can make money. Okay. The problem that you run into is exactly to what Andrea is running into. Now you got to make a huge adjustment She's working until 10 o'clock at night. You can't do real estate really after 10 o'clock at night. And then you've got to go back to this workplace and show up at 1 o'clock, which means you're probably shutting your day down at about 11:30 or noon so that you can get to that job on time, which leaves you this little itty bitty window to build a real estate career. Don't let that happen. You don't have to scrouch. I'm going to see you, just nobody can see you either.
And
It's a-
Saturdays, yay for Saturdays.
On top of it. So guys, just the reason we're doing this is so that we can learn from each other's experiences. So either we're going to talk to people, or we're going to have to get out of the real estate business at some point. And we're going to become one of those statistics on a side that we don't want to be on. I don't want you to be there. I don't want you to be there. So again, this is that, and we got a number of managers on here, a number of mentors on here, and the bottom line becomes this. You have to be interviewing with a buyer or a seller prospect, asking for the job of helping them buy or sell. Now, I'm going to keep it simple. You know the KISS principle. Keep it simple, salesperson. Either you're going and talking to people, or you're doing the things that will get people to talk to you. And preferably, you're going to talk to people is more dominant than the one where you're doing the things where you're getting them to come to you, because that takes a lot longer. You're doing one of the two. And if you go a week and you haven't had an interview, you're not going to make money. Do that. Matter of fact, do that and you've had a bad week. Do that 4 weeks in a row. You've had a bad month. And at that point, you ought to consider getting out of the real estate business. So, guys, this is the love. I don't want you to go. But we've got to do stuff that will get us the business. If I hired you and you wanted to make $60,000, so I said, no problem. I'll pay you $5 grand a month. That's $1,250 a week, basically. Well, how long would I let you go? Giving you $1,250 a week. How many weeks would I let you go with 0 appointments? A week or maybe 2? And if you knew within 4 weeks, I fire you, my employee, I fire you because you've set no appointments. How hard would you work before that happened? What would you do to get the appointment set? Because, oh, by the way, we're not even talking a listing. We're not even talking a buyer representation contract. We're simply talking appointments.
I just brought down a bunch of toilet paper, so I'm putting it away. I didn't bring it down right, so.
Let that sink in. Silence is the golden thing. So guys, when I get into this mode, this is your coach who's going to hit you between the eyes and call you out. Because what we need to do in this business to make money is not fun. How many of you have heard about our ISA program that we're going to be installing? This is where when you're listening, you go, yep, I've heard of this. Press the space bar to unmute you temporarily. Or put yourself on camera and raise a hand.
I heard
Most of you have probably heard of this. Now here's the ISA, and I know I was down with a small group in Troy and I told him about this program. And here's what it is. We are actually going to bring individuals in who either have or will have a real estate license. We're going to give them a draw on a monthly basis. And obviously, if we're giving them money, we're going to have expectations. Matter of fact, standards. So what's the standards that will happen for the individuals who are crazy enough to accept this? You will be in the Clarkston office at 9 a.m. From 9 until 6, outside of your lunch break and a couple of breaks in the morning and one in the afternoon, you will be on a telephone talking to people. 9 until 6, Monday through Friday, Saturdays 9 to 1. Now, I don't know, take 2,000 a month, what is that, 24? Take 2,000, you're getting an idea, that's not much money. Matter of fact, you could work at McDonald's and get paid $17 an hour. But we're going to start this program, and these individuals will do that. Matter of fact, the expectation, set 5 appointments per week, 1 a day. That's going to be what they're contracted to do. Anybody want that position, by the way? You'll get to work with Alex directly. He'll be coaching you, but oh, by the way, there's no real estate to be done. Yet, what's your expectation for yourself? How many appointments do you need to go on? So, in the chat room, I'm going to open it up on my screen. So, you open up the chat, bottom of your page most likely. Tell me how many appointments you're supposed to go on. By the way, this is open honesty. If you don't know, I want you to type that in because that's telling me what I have to get back with managers and mentors on. This is not a punitive thing. This is coaching and helping you. So type in the chat room how many appointments you're supposed to go on if you know that number. If you don't, I want you to say, we haven't done it. We haven't calculated. I don't know. Whatever it is. Here, keep it simple. A 0 tells me you haven't calculated it. Nobody's typed anything in yet. Guys, this is about you. This is not about me. Thank you, Phil. Robert, awesome. Good. Yvette, I love that you got a number. Peyton, thank you. Awesome. And by the way, Laura's mine. So when she says she doesn't know, shame on me and shame on her mentor, because I know that she needs that. And we haven't got her with that yet. Michael, great. Kenyana, awesome. You know, we've broken it down to where it's how many per day we need to hit. Great. And yeah, Andre, we know that you've got that. Okay. So that's great to see. And if your manager or mentor is on here, it's awesome for them to see. So just like Laura, I need you to hold me and Larry accountable to help you get that set. Because until we know what that number is, we don't know that we're failing ourselves or if we're moving ourselves toward success. And Laura, I don't actually remember exactly what you said the other day when we were talking, but you brought up the aspect that when you first started, you wouldn't have saw yourself having to do the things that you now know that you have to do. And guys, that's real estate. But we have to do something and we have to have a plan. couple of things that I can think of right offhand that without knowing everybody's specific circumstances, I want you to focus on. One, I want you to do exactly to the T, 100% what is in speed board. If you're going, what's speed board? You should have one that says day 1 and it goes through day 24. And there's things that need to be completed in action items. One of the simplest is hold 2 open houses in those 24 working days. What I'm going to tell you, hold a minimum of 2 open houses. If you need to make money, hold open houses. And no excuses, none. You can't have any. Excuses are due to give you what you don't want, and that's failure. Move towards success. Hold open houses. There are houses to be held open. They're out there, and the inventory is growing. So the thing of, well, no, there's no homes to be held open, that's not true. It is simply an excuse. And you know what they say about excuses. They're like anatomy. Everybody's got one. Don't use them. You're giving yourselves reasons for failure. Hold open houses. 2, you get with your manager and or mentor. Go through the goal projector. You need to do this. It'll take it down to how many people you need to talk to on a weekly, daily basis, how many individual appointments, first-time interviews with buyers or sellers that you need to do, how many closings that you need to have to make the amount of money that you want to make so that you can have the type of life that you got into this business to do. Okay? So those are some very simple, very, very, very basic things. And by the way, almost every one of you, if I'm right, there's probably not, maybe there's 1, maybe there's 2, but very few individuals have got into this business to make less than $40,000. That pretty much means that you need to go on at least 1 appointment per week because of our skills and where we're at and the type of leads that we're going to be generating when we're first into this business. If we haven't been on an appointment outside short of our new gal with, and I'm sorry, I can't remember your name, in Port Huron. Wow. But remember this, by the way, take yourself off mute, share with me your name again.
Sharon.
What is it?
Sharon.
Sharon. So Sharon, we need you and you need you to get your first contract signed. You've had your license for how long now?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. You got 2 weeks left.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Okay.
You should have a contract signed. And by the way, here's the simplicity to it. You just got to talk to everybody in your sphere of influence. When I say talk to them, use the telephone, get face to face, or you can use some form of technology where we're actually engaging them in a conversation. And what's the subject matter that must come up?
They're hot. Selling a house.
What are you doing? Real estate.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Most people should have their first piece of business within 30 days, and it should come from their sphere of influence. So unless you're truly limited, and I'll give you, I'm going to use Laura because she's here in Rochester with me. Laura's only been here for 2 years. She's got 2 young children. So basically it was her husband, 2 young children, and the career that she had at the hospital. we've actually said, well, take a few more shifts at the hospital, because what a great place to now focus on building your sphere of influence. There's people there that we know, and we just need to expand upon that. And yet that's not going to be enough for her. So now here's open conversation. And Laura and nope, the others are not on right now. We had a conversation the other day, but I'm not going to tell you what it was right now, but it surrounded this basic question. If I have talked to everybody in my sphere of influence, or I don't have any in my sphere of influence, then who can I talk to? This is group participation time. This is where we can take ourselves off of mute. By the way, most computers, you can hit the space bar and it will take you right off mute. So yeah, Yvette, you got your hand, share.
Hi, guys. I ran into that problem also, especially when you pick your first 50 or 100 people and then you reach out in a month and they either, oh, I forgot, I went with somebody else, or they weren't ready, or they don't know anybody, or they're not in the right situation. So I took it upon myself to start including myself in the community. And like you said, growing my sphere of influence, because I was running out of people. So I went to go find some people.
That is it.
That's all you
Okay,
really got to do.
I'm gonna back off that too. It's great. I mean, I did that when I got my license, and I was already part of like the same like chamber programs. Everyone has them, but like the St. Clair Chamber, the Blue Water Chamber, and you just get involved. You can volunteer for them. They're always looking to have new members be a part of it. So then you get to work on the registration, then you get people's names, you get their emails, and then you get immediately start talking to those people when you do those volunteer opportunities, or like the soup kitchen. There's volunteering too is huge anywhere like that too.
Yeah, because it's an aspect of now we're just getting out and seeing people. So Yvette, I love that. You just did what was necessary, because look, if I don't set appointments, I'm going to have to fire myself and leave the business.
Mhm.
Right? I mean, you are your boss. And the best that you'll probably see your managers do is, I always use the phrases, I'm going to coach you out of the business. I'm going to coach you out. Because either you're doing what's necessary or you're not. You're either doing your job or you're not. And most of the time, it has nothing to do with your skills, your knowledge. It has to do everything with your effort. And just getting out there and seeing people is wonderful. And Janelle, I'm glad that you're on, because if you would please share a little bit. You've been licensed and in the business with us now for how long?
2 years. It was 2 years on the 1st of August. So
Awesome. Your first year. So we'll call it that. What really, you've been in the business for a year and a half. You finished out last year at what volume?
5 million.
Wait a minute. So you started in August. So you had about 5 months running into that first full year to complete 2021. And you did how much?
5 million, and I think a little over 40 transactions.
And wait a minute, you're 40 transactions, because I was going to say you're in Port Huron. The prices are not that huge unless if you're selling the waterfronts, but you did 40 deals in your first full year, and you had 5 months running into it.
Correct.
Guys, you know why I'm talking to her, because she's a great example of what really is possible.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
truthfully, it's really just putting yourself out there. I mean, I would just put like, I would go to like subdivisions and meet builders, and I would just leave my card on their bulldozer seat. And if they weren't interested, and then months went by and then they call, or at Lowe's, it's crazy, but I was getting paint the other day and just like making small talk with the paint lady. And she was just like, oh yeah, I'm redoing my house too. And I was like, oh, that's great. And she's like, yeah, I kind of want to sell it. And then I gave her my card. Was I in sweats and everything? Absolutely. But you just got to talk to everybody about it and not be salesy. It's kind of like when you go to the bar and you sit next to somebody and you just making small talk. And then you never know who needs to buy a house. No one wants to be sold. So if you just make small talk, it'll always get brought up.
So all you did was talk to people.
Yep.
Did you have any slick language skills or scripts, quote unquote?
No, I had no idea what kind of paintbrush to pick out. So that's what started our conversation. So
Everybody's a prospect, but you have to have ears for it. And Laura knows there was a gal in here. I'm going to turn my camera for a second. But see that right there, the logo? That was painted on. And the artist that we brought in to be able to do that, we were just talking. As a matter of fact, it was interesting because Laura was sitting what would be to my left, and the artist started talking, and I simply made a comment because it was after Hot Topic Tuesday. I said, so by the way, did you learn lots about real estate? She said, yeah, I was listening a little bit, and because there's some couple keys, but we're just really in the early stages of buying a home. It's called the lead. And yep, she's probably 2 years out, maybe 3 years out before she buys. Bottom line, all we have to do is talk with people. And as we build our sales skills, then we don't have to talk to as many people to make the same amount of money. But the bottom line is, guys, above all else, you got to talk to people. The simple part, we talk to people. So Laura, if I know you got your, I believe your daughter with you, but can you share a little bit about what you learned the other day in our small group, if you're available? If not, I understand. I know, again, you've got your daughter there.
Sure. You just talking about the door knocking, or?
Yeah, because I think it started out with, but what do I even say when I get there?
Right. And a good point you made was to find a house nearby that was for sale or had just sold. Or if, and kind of talk about that house, or if there was no house for sale, ask them what house they know in their area that is going up for sale, just to start that conversation. Because in general, every area is having a house that's going to be listed soon.
So there's a house that's coming onto the market. You can pick think of a subdivision, a development that's been built up. Everybody think of one, right? So even out in Owasso, there's a subdivision that's been built up. So when you have that, here's what I can tell you, and I don't even know which one you're thinking of. There is a home coming on the market. Go find it. And that's what I was giving Laura. So even if I don't use another home that's already come on the market or a home that's already sold, I have done this where I've gone out, knocked on a door with one other person, with 11 other people, I believe it was, somewhere in that number. And I'd knock on a door and I'd say, hi, we're not here to sell you anything, but when's the last time you had 12 real estate agents knocking on your door? It could be, when's the last time you had 2 real estate agents knocking on the door? Or if it's only you, when's the last time you had a real estate agent knock on your door? What do you think the response is going to be? They'll laugh too. They'll even go, never. You say, well, we're not here to sell anything. The reason I'm out here is I know there's a home that's coming on the market. I'm trying to find it. Have I just made a true statement? Give me a yes. Because I don't care who you are, analytical or not, mathematically, there is a home coming on the market. It's a true statement, and you should feel good about stating that. You go, yeah, but Darwin, what if they ask me how I know? Tell them the truth. Look, there's only one home on the market right now. There's 200 in here. There should be about another 10 that's going to be coming on the market in the next few months. Is that a fair, quick statement? Absolutely. So you know there's a home coming on the market. I'm trying to find it. And you look right at him, you say, is it you? And give them a little smile. And what are they going to tell you most of the time? No. So you say, well, I appreciate you taking the time to think of that. And then we're going to turn and go, which one of your neighbors is it? And then turn back and face them. By the way, and just like this, give them the space. And now if they haven't stepped out onto the porch, the deck, watch them step out and start pointing. Well, see that house down there where the kids are outside? My understanding is he's been relocated. That house should be coming onto the market. We're going to go, you know, I was talking to him the other day and he's talking about retiring. Guys, all we're looking for are leads. We need leads. Everybody's looking for the one who's going to do something today. We need the ones that are going to be doing something today and beyond, and then we need to work those leads. Go talk to people. That's the simple part to it.
On the topic of door knocking, I'd love to hear if anyone in this chat room has been doing that and what their experience has been recently. And if so, if anyone is looking for someone to accompany them, because I'd love to have someone to do that with for my first time. I don't think I could do it on my own the first time.
Anyone?
I've done
I'm
it a
really
few
good.
times.
Who's done some door knocking?
I've done
Really?
no one
Nobody?
door
No, wait a
knocking.
minute. Dan, you have?
I
Yes.
have.
Talk to
Yes.
us, Dan. Share it. Dan is one of our mentors out of the Belleville office.
So I don't know, it was a couple weeks ago. I've been door knocking this neighborhood ever since I got a listing in there, just saying, hey, this house is on the market. Do you know who's going to be your next new neighbor? Just trying to get leads for buyers. Come to find out, I got 2 buyer leads out of it, 2 seller leads out of it, or prospects, I should say, because they're not ready to go yet, but it's constantly working. And before the house had a sign, I just got the paperwork signed. I went and talked to folks in the neighborhood. Open house, I went and talked to them. Pending, went and talked to them. And when I close, I plan to talk to them again. So I've had 5 or 6 touch points with everyone in that neighborhood. Everyone's got a business card. They've seen the sign. They know what's going on. And I hope that in the next couple months, I'll keep working these prospects that I got, turn them into actual leads to where I can possibly get 2 listings in the same neighborhood and possibly 2 buyers in the same one. So it is effective. And it's like as simple as you said, just, hey, I have this house for sale. Do you have anybody? You have somebody in mind that wants to be your next new neighbor? And you'll be surprised how people just start talking. Just keep pushing, and then those touch points keep up with them, and you'd be surprised what happens.
Absolutely.
I often implement exactly what you say, so and it works.
And so, by the way, I would tell you that is when you look at the group coaching, the one-on-one coaching, one of the things that here's Dan does an excellent job, and yet I got a little tweak for one thing that Dan, you mentioned, and it's in your question. You know what it is?
No, shoot.
Your question was, do you know of anybody who? Anybody think that they could refine or improve that question?
Yes, this is a problem I've had. That's a yes, no question. Do you? You need to work on saying, who do you know? It's a more open-ended question. This is one of my problems that I've been fighting as well.
Yep, Andre and I actually worked on that because we did some role playing, and I went in and I explained to her, I said, ask me. And then I go, no. Because when you ask, and by the way, there are appropriate times for the yes, nos.
Yeah.
There are appropriate times for the yes, no, but I'm looking for expanded information, and yes, nos are a reflexive response. So I want you to picture this. You just knocked on a door. They go, oh, great, a salesperson, right? Then they put up the little field that snaps up between you and them to help block the communication and any risk that they could catch something from talking to a salesperson. And then you ask, do you know of anybody? No, they don't even have to think about it. It's truly a reflexive response. So we need to ask great questions all the way through, and that's where the scripts. So we put down the other items that we need to do. I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to remind you guys a lot. We need to know what to say, and we need to ask them in such a way that we're not losing the impact. And so it truly is, which one of your neighbors is it? I didn't say, do you know which one of your neighbors? What would they say?
No.
Oh, but when I go, which one of your neighbors is it? I'm making an assumption that they know of someone. When I ask, so who do you know? Who do you know that may be looking to make a move? The mind actually has to stop itself from thinking about who they would know. So ask, who do you know? Then we're going to come back to them with the way that we did this. Well, how about you if you had any thought about making a move? They say, no, we really haven't. Well, I appreciate you thinking about this. And if you know Columbo, then you know this technique, because Columbo always did this. Well, thank you very much. And he'd turn and then he'd go, by the way, and that turn had them drop that defense shield so that when he comes back and he goes, oh, by the way, they've got trouble now. And then he'd ask his power question. In our case, we come back and we say, well, listen, I appreciate you taking the time to think about that. And by the way, how long you lived in the neighborhood? Where'd you happen to move from? How'd you happen to pick this neighborhood? Well, let's say you were to move. Where would you go next? When do you think that would be? All it is a few additional questions, holding a conversation to where you might actually identify somebody who's going to be a prospect. Now, maybe it's 2 years from now, maybe it's 6 months from now, maybe they're thinking in 3 months, but they really should be starting today. We don't know until we ask the questions. And those questions I asked, they're in the script book. And they'll, look, you'll be able to pull from this script and this script and this script to talk with a particular person about a certain thing. But until you know what to say, it really does. Look, go talk to people, but know what to say when you get there. It will make a difference. But words, 7 to 10% of all the communication, it's really, how good are you with this? And could you guys imagine me with my hands tied behind my back? That's the physiology, guys. That's where the enthusiasm, that's where we send a congruent message, because we're using the right words. And when we say, wow, I really appreciate that, we got a smile on our face. By the way, a smile, an open hand. I'm not hiding anything. I mentioned this to the girls the other day when I was working with them. We go up, we knock on the door, we take a couple steps back, and then we give them a profile. We let them see this. Let me give you a feel for it when you're standing at the door. Kind of creepy, isn't it? Would you answer the door with that face sticking in that close to it? Give them a profile. Keep your hands out. If you happen to be carrying a portfolio, I carry it so it's up. I don't want to hide anything. And of course, this is just inappropriate anyway. And again, I'm hiding things when I'm showing my back. Give them a profile. When they do answer the door, don't come up and try to hand them something. Just stay back, turn, and have a conversation with them. When it's time for an exchange of something, it's because they're going to want it. As far as knocking on doors, I'm going to make sure that you guys have heard me, and hopefully it's been being promoted. Next Wednesday, well, this coming Wednesday now, I have two gentlemen, and pardon me if you've heard this before, but here from our Rochester office, I've got Mr. Phil Cini. Phil Cini is a previous marketing executive. I believe it was at the automotive levels, who decided to come into real estate. He and his daughter worked together, and if I'm right, 18 million in sales last year combined. This year, I believe they're on track for about 22. Then I've also got Kyle Matta. Kyle Matta did $28 million in sales in 2021. Kyle is also based out of here in the Rochester office. Okay. Kyle's been in the business for all of 6 years and was the top agent in our company, both blue and gold. Both of these guys are going to come on. They're going to be here in Rochester. I will give you an open invitation. Feel free to come join us on Wednesday. It is the Lunch and Learn. Obviously, every Lunch and Learn every month is on Zoom, so you can do it wherever you're at. But I would tell you, whatever you've got going, cancel it and make sure that you're here or on the Zoom call. Come in and meet these guys. By the way, I'll have food here. Just let us know that you're coming so that we can make sure we have enough food. I got lots of room for people to observe what's going on. Okay. But here's the reason I bring that up. Kyle, I was interviewing him in December for a Zoom call learning session, and he's sharing. And it was interesting. It was in December, like second week of December, might be the early part of the third week. It was around the 15th-ish, we'll call it. December. Kyle says, yeah, I was just out knocking on doors yesterday. This is in the year when he did 28 million in sales. In the month of December, Kyle was out knocking on doors. This is the top producer doing 28 million, going out and knocking on doors. Okay? But here, he continued to blow my mind even further. He was doing it in Rochester. You know, you apparently there's something that says, one, door knocking doesn't work. Two, you shouldn't do it when it's cold. Three, I mean, that level of property knocking on doors. I mean, this was Rochester. It's like, here, let's go really, everybody knows Birmingham, right? Birmingham. Well, apparently you can't knock on upscale doors. Kyle was knocking on doors that was like $500,000-$600,000 in the month of December, and he's a top producer. So you want to hear what you've got to do? Make sure you're with us on Wednesday. But above all else, here, just go do what's in Speedboard without question, blind faith. and I'll share a story and then maybe we'll finish up early here because I've given you lots of assignments for the coming week. I started out in 1987. I had 3 young children. The oldest was 9. So what was 9, 8, and 5? I left a real job getting paid a salary, went cold turkey into real estate. Oh, by the way, my wife did not work. I'm chomping at the bit what to do. So Bernie's my broker. Bernie, what can I do? He says, I'll tell you what, because this is in the day, it really took you about 3 months to get your license with the way it worked back in 1987, there was no technology. He said, well, come in and I'll teach you how to fill out all the paperwork. So I did that. And I said, okay, so now Bernie, I mean, what can I be doing now while we're waiting for the license to come? He says, just tell everybody that you know that you're getting your real estate license. So if I ran into anybody, and again, there's no technology, there's no social media. So if I ran into anybody, it would be, unless there's Irish in me. So there's some natural stuff that just comes up with a conversation. But I'd probably ask them about what they were doing, were they still doing, what's new? And they go, what's new with you? Well, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm getting my real estate license. And we've all had that conversation. I'm getting my real estate license. Only now, like Sharon, for you, it's, oh, I just got my real estate license, right? And if we simply talk to people, here's what we know. They're going to say, what's up with you? You say, well, I'm in real estate. And they go, oh, well, how's the real estate market? And you start asking questions to identify whether or not they're a prospect. And then we ask questions to find the need so that we can offer a solution or service directly related to the need, so that we say, hey, let me do this for you. I don't mind. All we need to do is get together. When? And they say, okay. But see, it's even easier than that, because if we talk to enough people, we don't even need any skills. Because when I ran into Sharon, who is a former employee of mine, she said, well, you know, we're going to sell our house. When your license arrives, call me. I didn't have any skills. She actually said, call me. I didn't have to ask any questions. She just said, call me. So I get my license. What do I know how to do? This is your group share time. So what do I know how to do? Yep, Dan, say it.
Fill out the paperwork.
That's it. Dan's heard my story numerous times. All I knew how to do was fill out the paperwork. Yet I set an appointment. Oh, by the way, that was in a couple of days of having received my license. I mean, like, it might have been the first day I said, Sharon, I got it. You still want to sell? Yeah. Well, when can we get together? I went over. I knew how to fill out the paperwork. I said, what do you want to list it for? She said, how about 18,900? I said, okay. Right? I didn't know how to price it. I didn't know anything. But I knew where 18,900 went on the contract. And I knew enough about it to review it and say, so you got any questions? Because again, I didn't even know that that was a closing skill. She says no, and I turn it around and I say, then you two sign here. And Bernie gave me some great verbiage back then. We had a 5-page NCR carbonless paper, press hard. There's 5 cheap carbons on there that we got to get through. And they sign the paper and I sign the rest of it. I take it back to the office. Bernie, I got that listing. Now what do I do? He says, throw it on Lynn's desk. She'll take care of everything. Well, I was a smart enough guy at the time period to know I had to do something. And so I said, no, Bernie, these people just entrusted me to get their house sold. What do I do to get that to happen? Now, Bernie's well, permission to speak freely? Say yes. Give me a head nod. Bernie's a smart-ass Frenchman. So he says, now, and this was in Muskegon, by the way. in the city of Muskegon. He says, well, do they have neighbors? Of course. He says, well, then here, I want you to do this. Go out and knock on the doors of every home in the market or around that house. Knock on the door. When they answer, point at the house, tell them who you are, and then ask them if they know anybody who will want to buy it. So that's what I did. And by the way, literally, that's what I did. Knock on the door. Hi, my name's Darwin. I'm with Century 21 Lumbertown. The reason I'm stopping out, we just put that home on the market. I'm trying to find a buyer for it. Would you know anybody? So Dan and I did exactly what you've been doing. And what were the responses? Every door said what? No. Well, great. Can I give you a card? And you know, if you've ever knocked on doors, not everybody wants the card. Because when people take it, that's another technique. When people take something, it's called the law of reciprocity. They have to give in return, so they don't want it. They don't even want to open the door. Probably even worse 35 years later. So I went to the next door and the next door and the next door. In a hot day in June, I realized this crap ain't fun. I mean, it's not fun. But now I'm coming up the other side of the street. There's gentlemen outside. At this point, my dialogue was something like this. Hi, I'm Darwin. Listen to that house. You don't know anybody want to buy it, do you? I mean, I could pretty much be in a mode where I was telling him, you don't know anybody. Just confirm it. And he said, no, I don't know anybody. I'd say, great. Well, listen, here's my card. You can think of anybody that needs to buy or sell. I'd appreciate a call. He said, well, wait a minute. I got to sell this house. Now we're all back fun and full of energy, right? How hot was it? I don't know. It didn't matter at that point. And then I pulled out my great closing skills. Now, what closing skills did I have? None. So I said, well, can I help? He says, no, not right now. This is my mother-in-law's property. She's not doing well. I'm just here maintaining it, but it won't be long and we're going to have to put it on the market. Right? Now you sink back down again. I said, well, you got my card. I'd really love to help you out. Please give me a call. See, I didn't know lead. I wasn't smart enough to actually get his name and a phone number. Now we would get an email address. The only thing I had was the address of the home, but I wouldn't have had any idea how to get a hold of him. But look, it didn't matter. Because after I said that, he says, no, wait a minute. I've got a house that's over in Norton Shores I need to sell. Can I help? Yeah. So 2 days later, I was over there and took the listing on that house. With what skills? Zero. But you see the difference? Look, as I put it, I was Forrest Gump. Bernie could have told me to do anything and I'd have just been going, okay, Bernie. And I'd have been out doing it. If he would have done what he told me a couple years ago, which was, you know what I should have done with you, Darwin, is just give you 500 door hangers and told you, don't come back until they're gone. He said you would have made even more money because you would have done it. And he's right. Because I didn't know any better. I didn't ask any questions. It's just, I don't know squat about this business. What do I do to make money? Because I've got to make money. I would have done anything that he told me to. So what's my message to you out of all of that? You don't need the skills. You don't need the knowledge. You don't need the verbiage. All you've got to do is have the work ethic to go talk to people. And you know what you guys have that I did not? Sharon, look beside you. Every one of you have a mentor. You don't need to know everything. Use your mentor. Abuse your mentor. I'll tell you, they'll love it because it's the only way that they're going to get paid with the time that they're investing in you is when you make money. So use them. If you're not setting appointments, you need to do that. If you're setting appointments, Make sure your mentor is with you on all of your listing appointments. Make sure they're with you. At this point, I don't care if you do the whole show, just make sure they're there with you. They will get you listings that you otherwise will not get. They'll get you better price listings because they're with you. They will get you deals closed that you otherwise would not get closed because they're working directly with you. So, does anybody have any questions, any thoughts before we wrap up? Anyone? Houston? Houston? Yvette, I love that you bought the door hangers. Best thing you can do now is make sure they get into people's hands or hung on a door. If you do 500 of those, matter of fact, here's a quick, simple formula to show you how important that is. If the average American moved only every 10 years, and if I asked, you'd probably say 3, 5, or 7. If the average American moved every 10 years, and you've got 500 of those puppies, you're going to leave a door hanger or talk to combined 50 people who within the next 12 months would be making a move. I would lay money you would close 2 or 3 deals from getting 500 of those out on doors and the people that you would talk to where you'd put it in their hand. That's 3 deals. You know, in many of the markets that you're in, that's $1 million in production. Easily. You know, Laura, for here in Rochester, if you're in Troy, knock on the right doors out in Port Huron, shoot, that's $2 million in sales. Go talk to people. Guys, if you need me, I want you to call. If you need me, if you got a question, I want you to call. I'm going to give you the phone number now, 248-961-1690. If I miss you, because I don't have you in my phone, and I'm going to ignore it more than likely. I get too much crap calls. Leave a message. Send me a text. Say, hey, this is Yvette out at the, call me if you would when you can. I will get back to you ASAP, okay? If you can leave me a little bit about what you're calling on, that's fine too. I'll get back to you. Last thing before we call it a day, mark it down. Next week, is it next week? Yep. Next Wednesday, August 10th, noon in Rochester or on Zoom. So it's right there in front of you. Make sure that you log in on that one. So guys, there's another mentoring session. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Make sure that you share with others. And it's out of love that I so much directness. Have a great week.